Welcome to Doragon's Domain, Episode 9. I'm Doragon Kishu, Paladin and Dragon Rider. In this episode, I put a poll out recently to determine the kind of content people might like to see on my next Doragon's Domain. And the one that had the strongest response from the D&D community was creating a story. Creating a story for your campaign. I actually, I'm a writer, filmmaker. I haven't made money at it, but it's something I've been passionate for a long time. I have self-published a couple of books, and I wrote a screenplay, which I started to turn into a web series last year. It was all pre-production. I haven't done any of the main filming yet, except for one scene, which I may or may not use. But the reason that I'm even bringing that up is my point is that I'm a storyteller. And when I was a teenager, I always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I couldn't find anybody to do it. So I figured the only way I'm going to play is if I run a game. So I read the basic rules, and I read the expert rules, and I started to run a group. And something I realized pretty quickly, and something I've realized over the years with Dungeons and Dragons, is that it's an awesome place to develop your ability at creating characters, creating story. It wasn't why I play, and it's not why I play. In fact, I started playing again now, or a few months back, because I'm very passionate about it. I'm not around a lot of people that play it, but I've been able to get a group going online where I'm a player. So my point is, with story, everyone does story in a different way. My suggestions that I'm going to be doing today are, I had to put some thought into this, because everybody's different when it comes to writing and creating. For me, I know that when I'm inspired, it really triggers and gets me going as far as a writer. I mean, starting from scratch, I do that sometimes, but for me, when I have some kind of idea that comes from being inspired by something, it's a lot more fun, and it really comes to me. My recommendation, something that you might want to try in regards to campaign story ideas and whatnot, think about what books and what movies you like. Maybe we'll stick to the fantasy genre for now, doing Dungeons and Dragons. I thought about it last night, just going through this process. What popped up was Game of Thrones, and a movie called Dragon Slayer, which is an older movie, but the dragon and wizard are pretty amazing. Even though it's dated, you should see Dragon Slayer just for the dragon and the wizard, because two of the best of those two things in any of the fantasy films. And then Sword of Shannara, which was a book I read years ago, but I loved it. So basically what I did with these three, so what I'm suggesting is you do the same thing, write down a few different things, and then start with one of them. Like I started with Game of Thrones, so I thought, Game of Thrones, okay, well, I only watched it for 2 or 3 seasons, I think, and Jon Snow was my favorite character, and right away my brain goes, okay, well, why don't we, maybe for a campaign, could create a dark barbarian prince, or leader, dark barbarian leader. Even though Jon Snow is not evil, color affects me a lot. So, in fact, he has dark hair and whatnot. My mind goes to, in these kind of, it's kind of a barbaric setting, kind of. But anyway, so we got a dark barbarian prince, or dark barbarian leader, dark barbarian king. I think I'm remembering now. Apologies. So then, so we move on to the next thing, Dragon Slayer. All right, so my mind goes, okay, maybe there should be this wizard, this wizard of light, who wants to overthrow this dark barbarian who's, going through the lands, maybe killing people, up to the DM. But then maybe he wants to align with the Dragon King, bringing the dragon from Dragon Slayer. Maybe he wants to align with the Dragon King to help overthrow the barbarian, the barbarian king, or the barbarian leader. So then, and that's when, maybe your characters can be part of that. For instance, bringing the Sword of Shannara into it, kind of. Perhaps there's an elven prince. I know there's lots of princes and kings going on here, but we're talking about, the big story in the background, right? So there's a barbarian prince whose father is ailing, and he isn't ready to take over leadership of his people, so he just disappears, And so maybe the party is, maybe you guys are somehow reached out to by the wizard or somebody who works for the wizard and say, we need you to find this prince because the wizard wants to talk to him about aligning with the dragons and overthrowing this barbarian thing. And this is all from me just writing down a list of a few, and this is from, I don't know if it'll work for you guys, but I think it's worth a shot, that you write down a list, like I said, of movies, stories, whatever, and then just see what comes. Think about what you like about those stories. I'm not telling you to copy the stories. I mean, none of those are really copying any of those stories, right? But yeah, so then, so maybe reach out to maybe your players will go on to some kind of quest to find this missing prince, I realize it depends on the levels of the characters, of course. Lower the level, then they won't be as close to maybe the main theme, or they can't have as much impact on the big picture. So that's kind of the process I went through. That's all for this vlog. My next vlog, I'll either do some more story creating exercises or processes, that kind of thing. Or it will be my current D&D 5e group campaign update, one or the other. So, but yeah, I hope that this maybe inspires you to as far as story. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you on Twitter.